Hello everyone. Welcome to your physics class of class 6th. I hope you all will be fine. Students, in our previous video we discussed about the disadvantages of friction and also ways of reducing friction. Now today in this video we will discuss the advantages of friction and also ways of increasing friction. And also we will complete the question answers in this video. Okay, so let's begin our class. Advantages of friction. It is often thought that friction is a nuisance and it should be reduced to a minimum. Means it is thought that friction is a nuisance. Means ये नुकसान खराब है और इसको कम करना चाहिए. However, a frictionless world would not at all be convenient. लेकिन एक frictionless world is not at all convenient. Most of our daily activities of life depend on the existence of friction. Okay. Some such examples are given below. First one is, in absence of friction, we would not be able to walk on road. It is a reaction of the force of friction which makes us move ahead. Means without friction, we would not be able to walk on the road. Now second, when the road becomes wet after rain, friction is reduced and hence the road becomes slippery. And when the road becomes wet after rain, friction is reduced and hence the road becomes slippery and we find it difficulty in moving on the wet road. Now third is, we slip on icy roads or polished smooth surfaces because these surfaces are frictionless, means they apply very less friction. Okay. Now fourth one is, that's why it is said here that in the absence of friction we would not be able to walk on a road, and it is the reaction of the force of friction only which makes us move ahead. As these roads have very less friction, we will find difficulty in moving them. Now fourth point, the wheels of a vehicles would fail to rotate without moving ahead if there is no friction between wheels and the ground. Okay, same way as we find difficulty in walking on a road without friction, same way wheels of a vehicles would fail to rotate without moving ahead if there is no friction between wheels and the ground. Fifth, friction helps in supporting a ladder inclined to a wall. When a ladder is inclined to with the help to a wall, it is due to friction only that the ladder is supported by that wall. Sixth is, without friction, objects would slide off a table unless it is perfectly horizontal. Without friction, objects would slide off a table unless it is perfectly horizontal. Okay, means a table which is not perfectly horizontal, and if that table does not apply friction on a particular object that is kept on it, that object would slide off the table. Now seventh is, it would be difficult to sit on a chair without friction or brush our teeth using a toothbrush. Means without friction we will not be able to sit on a chair, and also we cannot brush our teeth using a toothbrush without friction. Okay. Eighth is, brakes in a vehicle work because of the friction between the brake lining and the drum of the wheel. Because of this friction only, this vehicle brakes in a vehicle work, because friction between the brake lining and the drum wheel, because of the friction between the brake lining and the drum of the wheel. Okay. Now next is, friction is necessary to burn a matchstick, and it is due to friction that we can write on a board by a chalk. Okay, so these are the examples that shows that some friction is necessary in our daily activities. Now, ways of increasing friction. Friction is necessary to some extent, and friction can be increased by the following three ways. So first one is by making the surfaces rough. Means by making the surfaces rough we can increase friction. Rough surfaces have a better grip on each other, so sometimes sand is sprinkled on the surfaces to make them rough. Okay. Second is by using dry surfaces. Dry surfaces have more friction while wet surfaces have less friction. So surfaces are dry in order to increase friction. By increasing the weight of a moving body, friction increases, which helps a better grip between the body and the surface on which the body is moving. Okay, so these are the three ways by making the surfaces rough, by using dry surfaces, and by increasing the weight. These are the three ways by which we can increase friction. So this is your explanation part of this lesson number 3rd. Now we will do the question answers. Okay. First question is, name the term used for the push or pull. So the answer is force. Question number 2, give one example each of a force as push, pull, stretch and squeeze. So answer is, first one is a push. To open a door, we push it. Pull, to move a grass roller on a lawn, it is pulled by a gardener. Stretch, stretching a rubber string, and a squeeze, change in shape of a sponge or squeezing. Now third is, explain the meaning of the term force. So force is a physical cause that changes or tends to change the state of rest or of state of motion of an object. SI unit of force is Newton. Question number 4. What effect can a force have on a stationary body? Answer. When a force is applied on a stationary body, it begins to move. Question number 5. What effects can a force have on a moving body? When a force is applied on a moving body, it can be made to stop or it can change the direction of motion. Now question number 6. What effect can a force produce on a body which is not allowed to move? Answer. When a force is applied on a body which is not free to move, it gets deformed, that is, shape or size of the body changes. Okay. Now next question number 7. Give one example each to indicate that the application of force produces motion, stops motion, slows down motion, change the direction of motion and deforms a body. You have to give one example each to indicate the following application of force. So a car originally at rest when pushed begins to move. Now second, stops motion. A moving bicycle is stopped by applying the brakes. Third, the speed of a moving vehicle is slowed down by applying the brakes. Fourth, a player kicks a moving football to change its direction of motion. And last one, on stretching a rubber string, its length increases. Question number 8. State the effect produced by a force in the following cases. First one is, a sling of a rubber catapult is stretched. So answer is, the shape and size of the catapult changes, that is, its length increases. Second, a man pushes a heavy cart. Answer, a heavy cart begins to move. A player uses his stick to deflect the ball. Answer is, the direction of the ball changes. A cyclist applies brakes. The speed of the moving cycle is slowed down. E. A spring is compressed. There is a change in size and shape of spring. Okay. Now question number 9. Name the two kinds of forces in nature. So the two kinds of forces in nature are contact forces and non-contact forces. Question number 10. Which type of force, name the type of the force which acts in the following cases. First is, a coolie lifts a luggage. So the type of force is muscular force. B. A bicycle comes to rest slowly when the cyclist stops pedaling. Answer, frictional force. A stone falls from a roof. Answer, gravitational force. A comb rubbed with silk attracts the bits of paper. Electrostatic force. A string hangs with a load. Answer, force of tension. A horse moves a cart. Muscular force. A magnet attracts an iron pin. Magnetic force. A boy opens the door. Muscular force. An apple falls from a tree. Gravitational force. A man rows a boat. Muscular force. Okay, so these are the types of forces. Now next question. Question number 11. What do you mean by the gravitational force? Give an example to illustrate it. Answer. The force of attraction on a body by earth is called gravitational force. Example. The leaves and fruits fall from a tree downwards towards the ground. Water in a river flows downstream. A ball thrown up goes to a height, you can write any one answer from here. Okay, any one example you can write from here. Now question number 12, define the term weight of a body. The weight of a body is a force with which the earth attracts it towards the center. It depends on acceleration due to gravity. Question number 13, what do you understand by the term friction? Friction is that force which opposes the relative motion between the two surfaces that are in contact with each other. Question number 14, give an example to illustrate the existence of force of friction. Answer, if we stop pedaling our bicycle, it gradually slows down and ultimately it stops after traveling a certain distance. This is due to frictional force between bicycle and ground. Question number 15, what is the cause of friction? The cause of friction is the interlocking of the irregular projections on the two surfaces in contact. Question number 16, state two factors which directly affect the force of friction. Answer, first one is the two factors which directly affect the force of friction are smoothness of the surface and presence of solid, liquid or gas around the moving body. Okay, so these are the factors which directly affect the force of friction: smoothness of the surface and also presence of solid, liquid or gas around the moving body. Now question number 17, in which case will there be more friction between the truck and the road when the truck is empty or when it is loaded? So when the truck is loaded, there will be more friction between the truck and the road. Question number 18, which offers more friction on a body, a glass surface or a wooden surface? Answer is, a wooden surface offers more friction on a body. So this is more. Now question number 19, name the three kinds of friction. So the three kinds of friction are static friction, sliding friction and rolling friction. Next question. Question number 20, list three disadvantages of friction. So the three disadvantages of friction are: friction produces heat which damages the moving parts of a machine, friction produces wear and tear, and a lot of energy is wasted due to friction to overcome it before moving. So you can write this point till here: friction produces wear and tear. Now question number 21, when you apply the brakes, the bicycle stops and the rim of the wheel becomes hot. Explain the reason. It is due to friction between the brakes and the rim of the wheel that it becomes hot. Now question number 22, the eraser gets smaller and smaller as you use it more and more. Answer, the eraser gets smaller and smaller as we use it more and more due to frictional force causing wear and tear of the eraser. Question number 23, list three ways of reducing friction. Answer, ways of reducing friction are: first, by making the surfaces smooth; second, by use of lubricants; third, by the use of ball bearings; fourth, by streamlining. Okay. Now next question number 24, it is difficult to open an ink pot with greasy or oily hands. Explain. Answer, when the hands are oily, then the oil acts as lubricant and reduces the friction. As the frictional force is less, it is difficult to get grip of the ink pot and it becomes difficult to open it. Question number 26, it is difficult to walk on a wet road. Explain. When the road becomes wet after rain, friction is reduced and hence the road becomes slippery. Question number 26, give three examples to illustrate that friction is a necessary evil. Answer, examples to illustrate that friction is a necessary evil are: first one, if friction were absent, we would not be able to walk. Friction is necessary to burn a matchstick, and it is due to friction that we can write on a board by a chalk. Okay. Question number 27, define static friction, sliding friction and rolling friction. First one is, the maximum force exerted by a surface on a body so long as it remains stationary is called a force of static friction. The minimum force required to keep the body moving over a surface such that it moves equal distances in equal intervals of time is called as force of sliding friction. And third is, the minimum force required to roll a body on a surface is called force of rolling friction. Now question number 28. Arrange the following in descending order: static friction, sliding friction and rolling friction. So the order is static friction is greater than sliding friction and sliding friction is greater than rolling friction. Question number 29. A body needs a force F1 just to start motion on surface, a force F2 to continue its motion and a force F3 to roll on the surface. What is static friction, sliding friction and rolling friction? State whether F2 is equal to or equal, less than or greater than F1 and F2. Okay, F3. So first one is F1 is static friction, F2 is sliding friction, means you have to tell this static friction. What is static friction? F1 is static friction, F2, from here we can evaluate that F2 is sliding friction and F3 is rolling friction, and F1 is greater than F2 and F2 is greater than F3. F2 is less than F1 but greater than F3. Okay, so this is all for today. Thank you.